I have no mum. Can I spend the day with you? One sentence that changed a female cop's life forever. The little girl stood alone in the falling snow, clutching a worn teddy bear with hands too small for such heavy loneliness, and when the female officer knelt in front of her that cold morning, she had no idea that one quiet moment in a silent park was about to rewrite the entire course of her life forever. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen between strangers, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Grandma Dearie. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that may be hurting. Officer Emily Carter had been on duty for nearly 10 hours already. The winter shift was always the hardest. The air cut through uniforms like blades, and the streets felt emptier than usual, as if the cold had chased everyone indoors. Emily had learned to move through these days on autopilot. Calls came in, reports were written, and faces blurred together. She had joined the force years ago after losing her own mother to illness, carrying a quiet promise inside her to protect others the way she once wished someone had protected her family. But lately, that promise felt tired. The job was heavy. Paperwork piled up. Promotions slipped past. And at home, a small apartment waited for her every night, filled with silence and unanswered questions about whether she had chosen the right life. She noticed the child near a park bench while doing a routine patrol. The girl couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years old, bundled in a brown coat that was slightly too big, a gray headband holding back wisps of light hair. Snow gathered on her sleeves as she stood there, staring at nothing in particular. There was no adult nearby. No stroller. No hurried footsteps rushing toward her. Just a small figure in a wide, white world. Emily approached carefully, her instincts instantly alert. She crouched down to the child's level, her gloved hands folded together to appear less intimidating. The girl didn't cry. She didn't run. She simply looked up with eyes far too serious for someone so young. What the child shared next came quietly, without drama, but it landed in Emily's chest like a dropped weight. The girl explained that she had no mother and nowhere to go for the day. Those words cracked something open inside Emily. Procedures followed. Calls were made. Dispatch contacted social services. Emily wrapped her coat tighter around the little girl and lifted her into the warm patrol car. The child leaned against her without hesitation, as if trust came easily when you had nothing left to lose. At the station, they offered juice and crackers, but the girl barely touched them. She kept her teddy bear close and watched Emily with a calm, observant gaze. It turned out the child's mother had passed away months earlier, and her father had recently been taken into custody after a long struggle with addiction and homelessness. Temporary care arrangements had fallen through. That morning, the girl had wandered from a shelter during a moment of confusion and ended up alone in the park. Emily finished her paperwork with shaking hands. She tried to hand the case over to the proper departments, just like she had done hundreds of times before. But something was different. Every time she looked at the child sitting quietly in the waiting room, swinging her small legs and humming to herself, Emily felt a pull she couldn't explain. Maybe it was the way the girl held her teddy bear like it was the only steady thing left in her world. Maybe it was the familiar ache of loss that echoed Emily's own childhood memories. Or maybe it was simply the realization that this tiny human being was standing at the edge of a life that could go in any direction. Emily asked if she could stay with the girl until social services arrived. Hours passed. They colored together with broken crayons. Emily showed her pictures on her phone of police horses and puppies. The girl finally smiled, a shy curve of lips that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. And somewhere between paperwork and warm coffee, Emily felt something shift inside her. The job was no longer just about laws and uniforms. It was about moments like this. About being there when the world failed someone small. When social services eventually came, Emily watched as they prepared to take the girl away to temporary foster care. The child reached out instinctively, her tiny fingers brushing Emily's sleeve. That simple touch unraveled every wall Emily had built around her heart. That night, Emily went home and cried for the first time in years. She couldn't stop thinking about the girl. She researched foster programs. She talked to supervisors. She filled out forms she never imagined herself completing. The process was long, exhausting, and full of uncertainty. Background checks. Home inspections. Training sessions after 12-hour shifts. Friends questioned her decision. Some warned her about the emotional toll. Others reminded her how demanding her job already was. But Emily kept going. Weeks later, the little girl moved into Emily's apartment with a small duffel bag of clothes and the same teddy bear she had carried in the snow. The first nights were difficult. The child woke from nightmares. She cried quietly when Emily left for work. Emily learned how to braid hair, pack lunches, and read bedtime stories even when her eyes burned from exhaustion. They grew together. Emily discovered strength she didn't know she had. The apartment filled with laughter, toy cars under the couch, and tiny socks in strange places. Emily's co-workers noticed the change in her. She smiled more. She spoke with softer edges. Her badge no longer felt like armor, it felt like responsibility in its truest form.